Look, I don't care if you're the President of the United States or a newscaster or a store stalker, right, or who you happen to be. You have opinions, and I get that. We all have opinions, and some of our opinions, sadly, are not really particularly based in fact. And by the way, let me just point something out. Even for people like myself, things that I say sometimes are not based in fact. They're just what I think when I look at things. Although I try to be logical in what I believe, sometimes I probably fail at that, and quite frankly, probably need somebody to point that out to me. But I wanted to talk about the idea today of fact and opinion on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Wednesday, the 15th of December of 2021. That means we're at that middle of the week and almost done with the day for a lot of folks. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Thank you for coming along today. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. And again, the subject for today will be fact and opinion. And I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes real quick to kind of give you an idea where I stand, where fact and opinion are concerned. I try very hard to say things for which I have at least logical backing. My preference is to have data to back up my assertions. That said, I have to acknowledge there are more than a few things I believe that I absolutely cannot prove are true. I can't do it. I do my best to make it clear my opinions, whether they seem logical or even when they're based on statistical data, are precisely that. You're going to hear most of the stuff that I say, it's going to be opinion. I'll just let you know. I don't play at being a reporter. Not that I never essentially report the news, nor do I attempt to be a fact checker. People should be beginning to see what a sham that can be just looking at various things that have happened in the very recent past, if you've actually been able to hear the appropriate news, and maybe you haven't, so I might talk about that just a little today. In fact, I don't make it my business to try to tear down, and certainly don't try to censor those with whom I don't agree. Facts should speak for themselves. Opinions, in my view, should be based on what we know to the greatest extent possible, recognizing that's often not feasible. With that considered, it should always be a thing to do to let others air both facts that may refute one's position or their own opinions. Consistent with facts or not, by the way. Put simply, it's not my job to tell you what you should think. I'm about expressing my views and the data as I get it and leaving it to you to make up your own mind. And as folks like Dan Bongino are prone to say, I want you to look elsewhere, to check what I say and to come to your own conclusions. For content creators, it should never be a thing to tell others they must agree with us, and I consider myself a content creator. Sadly, I'm pretty convinced there's no such thing as impartial journalism. I don't practice journalism in the traditional sense at all. As I've said, I'll immediately agree. I'm mostly about what I consider informed opinion. That's what I try to do in any case. Others out there will not make such statements. Rather, they'll try to tell you they're some sort of authoritative, non-biased source. I hate to tell you this, but no, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, where you are politically, whatever. I urge you to watch out for such folks wherever they are, as I say. The important point, though, neither opinion nor supposed fact should work to cram down dissent. That is to say, you shouldn't make it your business to use fact or opinion to cram down the dissent of others in terms of what you believe. That's not how that should work. Okay, done with my notes. Let me get on with what I'm saying. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is there has been news recently about lawsuits, one of them against a major social media platform. I'll name them. I normally wouldn't do that, but because it's particularly with regard to them and because of what they said, I'll name them. It was Facebook. And what Facebook said was, our fact checkers are not fact checkers. Wait, what? That's right. They literally said in response to a defamation lawsuit that the person, I think it was John Stossel, who put out the lawsuit, had no basis for a claim because what they were talking about was opinion, which is protected, right? The problem is they're actually giving people strikes and reducing their distribution and so forth on the basis of what they're getting back. I don't care who it comes from. And you can say it's opinion if you want, but if you say it's opinion, my answer to you is, hey, guess what? You should not be then doing the strikes and so forth off of that. If you want to mark their content in some way, that's your right. Personally, I think people should have the right to respond to your markings if you do that, right? If you're going to tell me that what I'm saying is not factually correct, or it's missing context, or whatever particular thing you happen to be pushing, you need to be aware, first of all, I don't have to have perfect context in what I say. And, by the way, since what I'm saying typically is opinion, it really doesn't matter whether or not it's factually correct. Now, to be fair, I do want to be factually correct in what I present. And I guarantee you, pretty much everybody, Bongino, or even people that I don't care for these days, like Ben Shapiro, even he's trying to be factually correct in what he says, and that's just what you need to understand. That is how that works. I don't agree with certain people, and I believe that what they're presenting as fact is not. It is not fact. They're not presenting information that, in my opinion, is factual. Now, keep in mind, that's my opinion. I can give you factual representation, data, and so forth that shows why what they say is invalid, incorrect, or whatever, but the reality is I can also be wrong on my data and my facts, and I'll be the first to acknowledge that. When I use something like the CDC's data for COVID exploration, or when I talk about what people think about prices and things of that nature, well, of course, I'm going to try and use the best data that I can find. And by the way, I'm going to try and use data that I believe will be as acceptable to one group as to another. In fact, I'm likely to bias it against myself in order to make it so that the data that you receive is actually from somebody that I do not support, in order to show you, look, I'm willing to use other people's data that I don't even necessarily agree with in order to present my case. Because what I want you to understand is I'm not trying to be biased in the presentation of facts. Now, that doesn't change the idea that my opinion is biased. It absolutely is. I'm going to tell you right now, I am a conservative with a sort of a libertarian bent in certain regards. But by and large, far and away, I'm a conservative, and I'll be the first to tell you that. So if you've ever questioned that, let's be quite clear. No, I'm a conservative, and I'll be the first to say it. That doesn't mean that I won't listen to people like Tim Pool and say, yeah, I think he's right about that. I will say that I think Tim is farther, quote, right than he thinks he is. More conservative, I'll put it that way, than he says that he is. Not because I don't think he believes he's farther to the liberal mindset, but because I see him sort of moving into a conservative direction when he talks. But the point of all of this is, whether I agree with Tim or any of the other people that he talks to or about, whether I agree with the big talkers, the well-known talkers, is pretty much beside the point. It's not my job to squelch or squash them. And it's not their job to squelch or squash me. Now, if in just presenting their 2 cents, what they say happens to trash me or thrash me, I guess that's how that is, and I have to either figure out how to respond to that, or I have to move on and realize that they've owned me, right? And that's just life. But my point here is simple. It's really simple. Fact or opinion, and I prefer fact where I can put it out there, fact or opinion, I shouldn't be making it my business to try and squash dissent as a result of what it is that I'm saying. It's not what I should be about. It should be a back and forth where somebody says something and I respond, or somebody says something and I think about it and I put out a video that maybe you wouldn't even dream came from that place or whatever. That's what should be happening there. So that's what I kind of wanted to get across today. Fact is great. Opinion's okay. Don't try to squash other people. Try to put stuff out there that's meaningful, thoughtful content if you're going to do content creation. And that's regardless whether you consider yourself a news person or not. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of December of 2021. As I say, that middle of the work week for a lot of folks. It means tomorrow will be Thursday, the 16th of December of 2021. Getting ever closer to that weekend. This year is flying by. As I've said, we're already halfway through December, amazingly enough. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Yes, welcome as well. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a boxing glove or a plus on Rumble if you want to show that you think my content is worth your time and effort. You can give me a minus if you want to do that as well to show that you don't think that that's the case. You can give me a thumbs up or a like on YouTube, or a thumbs down or a dislike on YouTube to show me how you feel about my content. Subject for today has been fact and opinion, and tomorrow we're going to talk about unemployment claims, and I want to do something with that. I want to talk about that in a way that a lot of people are not presenting things, and I really feel like they need to be presenting things. But we'll get into that tomorrow, and I hope you're having a good day today and that everything is going well for you. And again, hopefully we'll see you on Thursday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Wednesday, the 15th of December of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.